It is day 4 today in pre-algebra, and it is Monday, June 2nd, which is crazy. I can't believe it's already June. Time is flying. So I went ahead and gave all of you this practice quiz, and we're just going to run through each of the problems together. And stop me at any point if you have questions about anything we do. I don't want to move on until we all feel good about it. So for number 1 and 2, the directions say to evaluate each expression using the order of operations. So we just want to simplify this in the correct order. Now, what are the order of operations? What does that mean? You guys remember? What is it? Parentheses. Yeah. And then the exponents.
Multiplication.
Yes, multiplication and division. Remember, those go together from left to right. And then what's the last one?
Addition and subtraction.
Yes, addition and subtraction. That's where that PEMDAS comes from. So let's look at number 1. Do we have any parentheses? We do. So we're going to do that first. 2 plus 3, what is that? 5. Okay, and then we want to bring everything down. So I have 3 times 11 divided by 5. So we don't have any exponents. Do we have any multiplication or division? We do. We have, and I don't know if I've shown you this symbol. That dot just means times. It's multiplication.
It means times.
Yes, that means times. So what should we do first?
Multiplication. 3 times 11.
Yes, let's do the multiplication first because we're going to go from left to right. So we're going to do 3 times 11. And what does that give us?
33.
33. And bring divided by 5 down. We can use our calculators because we'll get a decimal here.
Yes.
What is 33 divided by 5?
I got 6.6.
6.6?
Yeah.
Perfect. That is correct. So the answer to number 1 would be 6.6. And then I want you to circle your answers so I don't have to search for them. Make my life a little easier. Okay. Let's look at number 2. 5 times, parentheses, 8 minus 4, divided by, what is this? 2 squared. Have we talked about squared? Let's talk about it. Okay, so a little side note. Do any of you know what it means when we square something, when there's a little 2? It's an exponent.
Yeah.
2 squared. What this means, whenever we have squared, it means whatever number is right here, the big number, we want to multiply that number to itself. So this just means 2 times 2. Now, what'd you say?
That's all that means.
That's all it means? Now, here's another example. What if I had 4 squared? My big number is 4. If it's squared, that means I'm going to take 4 2 times. 4 times 4. Multiplying it twice. So it's not just that number times the little 2. It is that number times itself. So I'm writing 4 twice. And let's see, what would these answers be? What is 2 times 2?
4.
That's 4. What is 4 times 4?
16.
16. Good. Okay, one more just to make sure it sticks. How about 5 squared? What problem?
Times 5, 25.
Yes. 5 times 5, and you're correct. That is 25. So, you guys do have some sticky notes at your tables in those colorful bins. If you want to write a little sticky note like this and keep it on your practice quiz, just so you remember whenever we do take the quiz, you've got a little guide to help you remember. And I'm going to write under here exponents. That's what this is, exponent. So we've got that, and I'll give you guys a minute to write that on your stickies. And you're just gonna get them. Okay, so we've got that written down. Now let's actually work out number 2. So looking at the order of operations, parentheses comes first. Do we have anything in parentheses? Yes. What is it?
8.
8 minus 4. What is that? 4. Okay, so I'm done with that. I'll cross it off. Bring everything down. 5. Remember that's times 4 divided by 2 squared. Okay. So now there's no more parentheses. We might think, okay, let's go right to the multiplication and division because we haven't seen a lot of exponents. But exponents exist. Or do we have any exponents?
Yes.
Yes. 2 squared. What is 2 squared? 4. Good. So now I'll bring everything else down again. 5 times 4 divided by 4. Okay, no more exponents. So on to multiplication and division. It looks like that's all we have left. So from left to right, what would I do?
5 times 4.
Good. 5 times 4 is 20. Divided by 4 is 5. Good. So 5 is your answer for number 2. We'll look at 3. Anybody need more time?
No.
Perfect. Okay, so let's now look at, we've got number 3 and 4 are the same type of problem. It says evaluate each expression using the given values for each variable. Show your work, circle your answers. So, yes, we have 6x plus y. And my x is 3. So that's the first thing I would do is plug in your variables. Instead of 6x, I'm going to write 6 times 3. And remember, if we have a number next to a number in parentheses, we're multiplying. This is multiplication. Okay, and what else do I do?
You put a 2 in for the 1.
Yes. Now, y is 2. So I'm going to write plus 2. So I have all my variables plugged in. How do I solve this?
3 times 6, 18.
6 times 3 is 18.
Plus 2.
Plus 2 is 20. And that's our answer. Good, good, good. So we're just replacing the x with 3 and y with 2. And that's all we did there. Okay. Take a look at number 4. Now, number 4 is a little bit tricky because our b.
A equal 2.
A equals 2.
It's 2.
So we're going to put 2 where a is. Yes, so instead of a squared, it'll be 2. squared. Now, we're going to be really careful when we copy down the next part of the problem. So I want you guys to watch how I do this. I'm going to write plus, I'm going to keep this parentheses, 6 minus, oh, what is B?
Minus
3.
Yes, negative 3. So don't just write 6 minus 3. It's 6 minus B minus negative 3. Close that parenthesis again. So you see where that can get tricky? This problem, I've used the same quiz for the last couple of terms. This is the one problem that I see the most people get wrong because they forget to put the extra minus. So now what should we do? We don't have any more variables to plug in. We just have numbers. We could do that first. What does our order of operations tell us to do first? What comes before exponent?
2 times.
Parentheses. We have to do parentheses first, then exponents. Do we have anything in parentheses?
Yes.
6 minus negative 3. Now this one, go way back to day 1 where we talked about subtracting numbers with different signs. Okay? Remember that keep, change? Okay, so here's what we can do. You can, first of all, you can type this in your calculator and you'll for sure get the right answer because your calculator is always going to work. But if we want to look at that rule, remember we'll keep the 6, we'll change subtraction to addition, we'll change negative to positive. This is the same thing as 6 plus 3. Weirdly enough, it is. And I'll show you in your calculator too. If I type, let's see, 6 minus negative 3, I'm going to get positive 9. Doesn't feel right, but it is. Okay, so we just found out that this in parentheses is 9. Okay. And all we have left is 2 squared plus 9. So what is 2 squared? 4. Last step. What do I do now?
4 plus 9.
4 plus 9. What is that? 13. Good. Very good. Okay. Any questions about number 3 or 4? Or anything previous? Can we go on to the last 4 on the front page? Okay, great. So number 5, 6, 7, and 8, we are combining like terms. Now, whenever we are combining like terms, all we're doing here is adding and subtracting, and that is it. So I'm going to write a little note to the side so that I can remind myself when I take the quiz, I'm only adding or subtracting. I'm not going to multiply anything. Just adding and subtracting for numbers 5 to 8. And I'll just write that, numbers 5 to 8. Add and subtract only. You guys remember what like terms are?
Yes.
Yes, what are they?
The same.
Look at when with
I don't know
them.
what you want to call it, the letter.
The letter, yes, the variable, in with
variable,
in.
that's
You
what I
can
was looking for.
add the numbers or subtract the numbers if they have the same variable, the same letter. So for number 5, I have 7x plus 10x. Are these like terms? Can I combine them? Yes. So what's 7 plus 10? 17. The only thing you need to remember not to forget is that x. And guess what? That's your answer. That's all you have to do on this one. Not too bad, huh? Not too bad. Now it gets a little trickier when you got a bunch of them. So let's look at number 6. 4n plus 3 plus 5n minus 2.
Yeah, you do
4n
4
plus
5.
5n.
Ooh, so why am I doing 4n plus 5n instead of plus 3?
Because they're not the same.
They're not the same. They don't both have n. They're not like terms. So these both have n. They go together. What is 4n plus 5n?
9n.
9n. Good. But what do I do with the 3 and the minus 2?
So 3 minus 2.
Yes. Now I just do 3 minus 2, which is
4.
1. Since it's a positive 1, I write plus 1. And that would be your answer. These blues I'm using are very similar in color. I guess you can see the color difference on the board a little better than my screen.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I want to have you guys try 7 and 8 by yourselves. See if you can do it. I'm gonna give you like a minute or two, and then I'm gonna show you them. I'll show you the answers, but I want you guys to give it a good attempt just to see if we got it. So I'm gonna pause the recording for a second. Okay. What'd you guys get for number 7?
I have 6 in.
6 in?
Yeah, I did too.
Everybody got 6 in? Yes, that is correct. 6 in. -4 plus 10 is 6. And they're both in, so 6 in. That's your answer. Very nice. Okay. Who wants to tell me about number 8? Who feels good about the answer?
And minus 10.
You got, say again, minus
Minus
10?
Minus 10a
Mm-hmm.
minus 3a. That's minus 7.
Minus 7.
Plus 7.
It won't be plus 7. Here's what we got.
Negative.
Negative 10a and negative 3a. These do go together. What is
That's
negative
negative
10
Negative.
minus 3?
Negative 7.
Negative.
Almost. It's going to be negative 13. And here's why. If I start with negative 10, I'm going to draw a little number line. If I start with negative 10, remember, here's how the number line works. We've got negative 9, negative 8, negative 11. So if I start here and I want to do minus 3, subtract 3. If I add, I move to the right 3. But when I subtract, we want to move to the left 3 towards the negatives. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, negative 13. And you can also type that on your calculator. You just need to make sure we would type negative 10 minus 3, and we'll get negative 13. Did you get the same thing? Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so negative 10a minus 3a, negative 13a. Okay, and what else did we do? 6 plus 3, and that is 9. So negative 13a plus 9, that is your answer. Okay, you guys got that? How do we feel about the first page, okay?
Yep.
Good. All right, let's go ahead to the back side then. All right, now we've got something called distribution. This is what we're going to focus on today after the practice quiz. So I'm actually going to use this to introduce it to you. And what I would like you to do as we do this is pull out your notes. And we're going to take a few little notes so I'm not just writing all over this. So I'm actually going to start a page of notes. And I'm going to put this to the side for a minute. So I'm going to title my page, and I'll give everybody a minute to get their things out. So go ahead and start getting your things out now, and I'll be titling this for a minute. Pre-Alg. This is still Unit 1. I've been forgetting to tell you what unit we're in. We've been in Unit 1 since day 1. We're still in Unit 1, but we're almost done with it. And these are day 4 notes. Second. While I get situated. So we are going to title this distribution. So review. So on this page of our practice quiz, all 4 problems involve some distribution. And distribution is just a fancy word for multiplying. So I'm going to write multiplying. So here's an example of distribution. I'm going to write this one big. Let's say I have 5 in parentheses, and then I have 2x minus 3. So the order of operations tells us to do what's in parentheses first. In parentheses, I have 2x minus 3. Now, if this was something like 2 minus 3, or maybe even 2x minus 3x, I could do what's in parentheses first. But these are not like terms, and I don't know what x is, so I can't do what's in parentheses. This is where we use distribution. What we're going to do instead is we're going to multiply, since we have a number outside of another number in parentheses, we're going to multiply 5 times 2x, and we're going to multiply that 5 to that minus 3. So I'm going to start by drawing some arrows just to show what we're doing. And underneath that, I'm going to write out the actual kind of breakdown of what we're doing as well. Now, as we do more of these, I usually have students ask me, do I have to write out this second step? You don't have to, but if it helps you, then do it. So 5 times 2x. I'm just going to write that here. 5 times 2x. And then I've got minus 5 times 3. So we went from our original problem here to here. Now we have 2 separate multiplication problems. What do you think 5 times 2x is? 10x. Good. So 10x is our first term. Bring down the minus. And what's 5 times 3? 15. And that would be our answer. That's all distribution is. We're just multiplying more than one thing. So I'll give you some other examples here. Let's see. It's about -4 3. This one might be tricky because I stuck a negative in there. We're going to do it exactly like we did the last one. So, -4 times what will I do first?
3.
-4 times 3n. Good. Don't forget your negative. So, I'm going to write that out. -4 times 3n. Bring down my minus. And now I have -4 times 6. And if it helps, you can put that whole thing in parentheses here so that you don't have like 2 minuses right beside each other. Sometimes that makes it look a little bit more confusing. So let's do that first part. -4 times 3n. What's that going to give us? -12n. What's next? -4 times 6. What's that? -24. Good. Now we got to bring that negative down. What does this mean when I have minus and negative? What can I change that to? A plus. A plus. When you have 2 negatives side by side, or anytime you're subtracting a negative, it's that same thing where you keep the first term, change the minus to a plus, change the minus to a plus. This is the same as -12n plus 24. And that is our answer. Okay. Now I'm going to show you something slightly different, but basically the same. What if I have something like 5x plus 2 parentheses 4. Okay. See what's going on. 5x plus 2 times the quantity of 4 plus 3 times x. That's what we've got. Now, what do you think, any of you, what do you think would be the best first step here?
Sure.
5 times 3?
2 times, 2 times 4.
Maybe the 2 times 4. Okay, so let's talk about it. Are we gonna multiply this 5x, or are we gonna be multiplying the 2?
2 plus 2 multiplied by 4.
Okay, this is a great part of the lesson. Yes, you're correct. Now, this is another thing that I see every single time I give this quiz. Somebody's gonna take that 5 times everything. And this is the first day I'm teaching this to you, so I expect you to make some mistakes. Whenever we are talking about distribution, it's only the numbers right next to what's in parentheses. This 5x, it's just addition. 5x plus whatever this is. So if we're looking at the order of operations, technically this is multiplication. And multiplication comes before addition. So we're going to start with that distribution problem, and we'll deal with the 5x later. So just like you said, Jacqueline, we're going to start with 2 times 4. And what is 2 times 4? 8. And here's where I'm not writing the middle step. I'm just not writing those multiplication problems here. If anybody wants me to, if you're like, where did that come from? Let me know. I can actually happily do it. So I did 2 times 4, that's 8.
Plus 2 times 4.
Yes, plus 2 times 3x. And what is 2 times 3x?
6.
6x. Good. 6x.
Just bring the 5x plus the.
Yes, and now I just bring down the 5x plus. Now I have 5x plus 8 plus 6x.
So you have 11x.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
And then we can do one step further. We can combine like terms again. 5x plus 6x is 11x. And just bring down the plus 8. And that would be your answer. Okay. So we did distribution first. Then we brought down 5x. We combined like terms. And we got our answer. Okay. Any questions about what we just did there? Hey, let's look at the problems on this practice quiz then. I'm going to pull that back up. Can I move this? Anybody still need it? It looks like we're good. So now I'm looking at number 9. What should I do for number 9?
Seven times 2.
7 times 2x. What else will I do?
Yeah, yeah. 7 times 2.
Yes, and then the 7 times 9. So 7 times 2x, what does that give us? 7 times 2. Yes, 14. X plus 7 times 9. What is that?
53.
63. Perfect. And that would be our answer. Okay. Got it. I am going to do number 11 with you next. And then I want you guys to try 10 and 12 after that, just to see how we do. So let's skip 10 and look at number 11. Number 11, what should I do first? Negative 7 plus 2. We will do the plus 2 eventually, but remember our order of operations, we're going to do the addition very last thing.
Okay.
So-
Minus 7.
So first we need to see, is there anything in parentheses? Are there any exponents? And then we'll move multiplication and division. So first of all, we do have this in parentheses, n plus 4, but we don't know what n is. So we have to move on from that. No exponents. This means multiplication, right? This is where we distribute. Anytime that you have extra things added on the outside of your problem, step 1 is going to be distribution. We're going to start with the distribution. So what am I going to distribute here?
Negative 7 times 4.
Negative 7. We're going to multiply negative 7 times n and 4. Negative 7 times 4. Okay? Does that make sense what we're doing there?
Yeah.
Okay. So we always want to distribute first because that's our multiplication. So negative 7 times n, what is that going to give us? Negative 7n, that's it. Negative 7 times positive 4.
Negative
Let's see. You said negative 28. Yes. Yes. Perfect. Now, negative 7n minus 28 plus 2. Bring that down. Okay. Am I done?
No.
Uh-oh. What do I need to do still?
28 plus 2.
Okay, now we need to be super careful when we do this because what we have here
Minus 28.
is minus 28. If I do 28 plus 2, that's going to give me 30, and that won't be correct. Really, we want to think of this like negative 28 plus 2. So what is that going to give us?
26.
Negative 26 minus 26. Okay, so negative 7n minus 26. That would be our answer. And if it makes it seem a little bit less confusing why that happened, I wonder if anyone is confused, it might be because I didn't bring my plus sign down. So really, negative 7n plus negative 28, then we can see that it is a negative number. Okay. Okay. You guys want to try 10 and 12 on your own? All right, do it. Let's see. I'm gonna pause this and we'll come back in a few minutes. Okay, let's start with number 10. What should we do first for number 10?
So 2.
Right.
Okay.
So we're going to multiply negative 12 times negative 2 and negative 12 times 7x. So what is negative 12 times negative 2?
Negative 14.
Almost. Yes. Two negatives when you multiply make a positive. So we have positive 24 here. Negative 12, and don't be afraid to use your calculator. Remember the negative symbol is down here. Negative 12 times negative 2, and you will get positive 24. So we have that. What do I do next?
Negative 12 times 7.
And what is negative 12 times 7?
I got negative 84.
Negative 84. That is correct. Now, what I didn't do on number 11 is I didn't bring the plus sign down. Whenever we get a negative number in one of these problems, we don't need to use that plus sign anymore. We can just write 24 minus 12 times 7, that's 84x. Okay. Did anybody get a different answer and they're not sure why? We can talk about it. I want to make sure you feel good, okay? Because this is like review time. I want everybody to know this is a safe space to tell me I don't get it. So if you don't get it, tell me. I want to help you get it. We're all good? Everybody's good? Okay, okay, awesome. Number 12 is the tricky one. Number 12. What do we do first here?
They go to 3 times 3.
Ah, yes, we have a 3 times this quantity that's in parentheses. Do the distribution first. That 3p is going to get added at the end. So you said we're going to start with 3 times 3, which is 9. And then what?
3 times
2
2.
times.
Yes, 3 times 2p, which is 6p. Good. And then what? Bring
3p.
that down. Okay, now what?
Plus 6p.
3p plus 6p is 9p plus 9.
Yep.
And that's the answer. All right. That's the whole practice quiz. And that's going to be the whole quiz. It's going to look identical to this, just with different numbers. And I'm telling you identical. Like, I'm pretty sure I put all the negative numbers in the same place. I'm pretty sure I used the same letters. Like, everything should be pretty much the same. So if you have this filled out and you understand it well, you will do excellent on this quiz. And you will have until Friday to correct things. Now, these last 2 questions, these are optional and they're bonus questions. Meaning if you get these right, you get some bonus points and you can get over 100% on this quiz. A lot of people do in here. So let's look at these.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at them. I'm going to show you an example so that you don't go into it looking like you've never seen it before. So all we're doing here is combining like terms again. What we're going to do is first figure out which terms go together and which ones don't. And this might look a little confusing because we have a lot of x's, but some of these x's won't go together. And the reason for that is if we go way back to the day that I taught you about like terms, I told you like terms are numbers attached to the same variable and the same exponent. So 5x squared, is this a like term with 2x?
No.
No, why not?
You know what I'm saying?
It's not squared.
Yeah.
This one has a square. This one does not. So it's not a like term. So let's start by finding all the 5x or all the x squareds.
3x.
3x squared. So these go together. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cross that off and just like write it underneath here. So I've got plus 3x squared. Okay. Now let's look at the x's. I have plus 2x. Do I have other x's?
Minus
Minus x, negative x. I'm going to cross that off and write it underneath. Minus x. Okay, then I have plus 3. Do I have any other numbers without variables? Minus 6. So I'm going to cross that off and rewrite it here. Now I just have a big addition problem. I'm just going to add everything top to bottom. So 5x squared plus 3x squared is 8x squared. Good. 8x squared. 2x minus x. What is that?
Negative 2x.
So if I start with 2 and I take away an x, this is tricky because we have to remember something. You're correct. Yes. We have to remember that if there's no number in front of a variable, there's an invisible number 1. So 2x minus 1x is 1x. Or we can just write x. It's just x. If you like the 1 better, write the 1. Okay, and then 3 minus 6 is
3 minus 6 is
almost.
minus
Mm-hmm.
minus 3.
Yes, minus 3, negative 3. Perfect. And this is your answer. So we just figured out what numbers, what terms go together, and we added them. Now, this next bonus is super tricky. And that's why it's a bonus. So I'm going to explain what's going on here, how we have these in parentheses, what's going on. So what I'm going to do is circle the minus sign, the negative symbol, and what's in parentheses right here. So I'm going to ignore this first half. Whenever we have a problem like this where there is a negative sign or a minus symbol outside of some quantity in parentheses, we're going to use distribution. Okay, we're going to use what we just did, where if you have a number outside of parentheses, we distribute it. If we have a negative number outside of parentheses, we distribute it. If we have a negative outside of parentheses, we're going to distribute it. So I'm going to write a note here. Distribute the negative. First. All this really means is that instead of adding your like terms, we're saying take this minus 3x squared, minus negative 2x, and minus the positive 6, instead of adding like we did in the other problem. So to make that easier for us, here's what we can do. We can take that minus sign and, like I said, distribute it. And what that will do is just change everything. So it's just like the keep, change, change. When you subtract, change your minus to a plus and change the sign of everything else. Now we have negative 3x squared instead of positive. Instead of negative 2x, what will we have? Plus. Instead of plus 6, we'll have minus. So when we distribute a negative, we change all plus to minus, and we change all minus to plus. We're just changing all the signs. Okay, so that's exactly what we did. And once we've done that, we've changed all of our signs, then we can start doing exactly what we did in the last problem. And we're just going to combine like terms like normal. Okay, so now instead of positive 3x squared, I have negative 3x squared. What other x squareds do I have? Or do I have any others?
No.
No.
Let's see. 2x. Oh, now we can look outside of this, by the way.
Yes, you do.
Yes, we can look outside because now that we have distributed the negative, if it helps, and this actually might help, rewrite it so that you don't forget. So I'm gonna rewrite this. Instead of that, I'm gonna put minus 3x squared plus 2x and minus 6. Okay, so I'm not looking at this anymore, really. Now I have these numbers, and I'm back to using all of this as well. Now we can use everything. So do I have any other x squareds?
Yes, -6x squared.
Negative 6x squared. So I'm going to combine that. Minus 3x squared. Okay, I've got plus 2x. Do I have any other x's?
For it.
I do. I've got 4x. So I'm going to add 2x.
And 30.
Again, we have 3 minus 6 again. So 7 here. So that's the trickiest part about this, is just remembering to change the signs. But now we can combine them and add them all together. So negative 6x squared minus 3x squared. Negative 6 minus 3. What is that? Negative 6 minus 3. It won't be 3. We're not multiplying.
9.
Almost.
Add it.
It is 9, but what sign?
Positive.
Minus.
Minus 9. Negative 9. Remember, if we have a negative and we subtract, we're going to get a bigger negative. It's like saying, I owe somebody $6. I have like negative $6 in my bank account. If I give away $3 more, I'm not going to have more money. I'm going to have even less. Now I owe 9 instead of just 6. That debt gets even bigger. When we start with a negative and we subtract, we get an even bigger negative, because a bigger negative is a smaller number. It is tricky. It is tricky. Rely on your calculators, though, if you need to. We can type that in. And if anybody needs to be refreshed on how to type negatives in, just let me know. I'm happy to show that as many times as you need. Okay, what do I do next? 4 plus 2 is 6x. Good.
3.
And then, yep, 3 minus 6 is, did you already say it? 3, what am I missing though? Negative, so minus 3. Good. Good, good, good. That's our answer. Hey, that's the practice quiz. So, what I want you guys to do now is I want you to look through these questions, and I want to kind of open the floor, and you tell me, of all of these, what are some of the things you need more practice on? So maybe look through and say, like, okay, 1 I feel good about, 2 I feel good about. I don't know, maybe you get to 4, you're like, ugh, I need more practice on 4. So I'm gonna pause the recording, and I want you guys to look through and maybe just circle the numbers that you feel like you need more practice on. And we'll come back and talk about those numbers and maybe get you guys some practice problems for those types of problems. So I'm gonna pause this and back in a moment. So after going around the room and checking your quizzes, I see these are the most circled problems: number 4, number 8, number 10, and number 12. So I'm going to pull my notes back out, and we are going to make sure that before we go today, we all feel great about those. So I'm going to start a new page, and we're going to start at number 4. And I think what's trickiest about number 4 is plugging in a negative number that's being subtracted. That's hard because it's so easy to forget that minus. So we're going to do a few problems where we have that exact same thing happening. And I'm just gonna title my page first. Pre. Do. And then I'm also gonna just write up here, in case any of you are wanting to look back at this later, especially on quiz day, I'm gonna write that this is the Unit 1 practice quiz. Coming up with some problems, and we'll go through them together. What number problems are similar to? So this is from number 4 on the practice quiz. See. Okay. Now I am a huge, I can't think of the word I want to say. Encourager. I'm a huge encourager of using colors because colors, I don't know, something about colors, they help my brain organize the numbers in my head because when I'm looking at black and white numbers, it makes me overwhelmed. I don't know why, but it does. So colors help me with that, and they might help you. They might not. But I always recommend it. So what I'm gonna do to start this one is I'm gonna look at my variables and I'm gonna assign a color to my variables. So just what I have in my hand, I'm gonna make my M blue. I'm gonna make my P pink. So once I've decided the color, I'm just gonna go over to my problem, my expression here, and I'm gonna highlight anywhere that I see M in blue and anywhere that I see P in pink. So I have an M here, and a P here. It seems silly to take all these little baby steps and go as slow as we do sometimes, but whenever you go step by step and do it slowly and carefully, it is going to make you so much better off because in the future, when we're doing higher level math stuff, oh my goodness, keeping yourself organized is the most important part. That's where we make mistakes, is when we just go too fast and we skip something. So stay slow and organized. Don't ever beat yourself up for being really slow. I was always the slowest student in the class, always. And that's okay. I'm here now. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm going to replace the colors with the numbers. M is 3. So 3. And what is attached to M that I need to bring down? Yeah, that's squared, the 2. So I'm going to bring down that squared. Okay. And I think where most people will make a mistake is just not bringing everything down. So you could go ahead and plug in your -4, but I worry that you might write that and say, oh, I already brought the minus down because you see the minus there. Sometimes it's better actually to start by rewriting this, but leaving blank spaces for your variables. So for the rest of the problem, let's actually do that. I'm going to very slowly, very carefully copy every single symbol. So next I have a plus. Then what?
15.
Oop, something before 15.
4.
Something before that. The parentheses. I'm telling you, we're going to be so precise that it's going to drive you nuts. So, parenthesis, that comes next. Then what?
15.
15. Then what? Minus. Then what?
4.
Parentheses.
Parentheses.
Negative.
Now, P, -4. Now we can put it in. Okay, there we go. And see how whenever you use colors too, I can see this isn't my minus that I brought down. This is P. This is -4. It's different. The colors will help. Okay, then what? There's a parenthesis. Now that's just a parenthesis for -4. What else? There's one more parenthesis at the end.
What you gonna do with P? No.
We put -4 in.
Oh, that's what you go.
Yes, we did it. We did it. Okay. Now, it's all plugged in. That was the hardest part, I think. Maybe. We got it plugged in.
Yep.
Where do we go from here?
Your I don't know. I'm gonna say in the parentheses.
Yes, your parentheses. Once you have no more variables, we use the order of operations always. So if it helps to write the order of operations down on your paper, do it. But I also want to remind everybody, I got that big poster up here. I will not take it down. You will always be able to look up and remind yourself what the order is. So, do we have any operations in parentheses?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. What do we have?
3.
We do have 3 squared. Now, let's talk about this. What's the difference here? What we have going on here versus here, there is a 3 in parentheses, but nothing's happening inside the parentheses. It's just a 3 in there.
15 plus 4.
Yes, that's what we're going to do next. In this set of parentheses, there's operations. There's a minus and a -4, or it's going to turn into +4. So technically there is parentheses around 3, but there's no operation inside the parentheses. Now, this is a problem where if you do that first, you'll still get the right answer. Sometimes that happens. But if we want to be super technical about it, we're going to do this first. So, what is 15 minus -4?
19.
19. And that's because we're doing the keep, change again. Plus, turn it to plus. 15 plus 4 is 9. I know, it feels unnatural every time. And now we can do this. 3 squared, what does that mean? It is 9. How'd you get 9?
3 times.
3 times 3. Remember, it's not 3 times 2. 3 times 3. Okay, so now I have 9 plus 19. And our answer should be 28. Perfect. Okay. Now, before we try another one, were you just trying to see the board better or were you confused about something?
No, I was trying to see, I was writing
Okay,
down.
okay, just making sure. I was like, I hope she's not struggling over there.
Yeah, I was just writing by myself.
All right. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, was the part about this problem that felt the trickiest just doing the minus negative? Okay, so let's just drill a couple of things real fast. These parentheses are just to separate the negative numbers. 10 minus negative 4. What is that the same thing as? Or like, what would I do to change this to make it easier to solve? Make it a plus. Remember, keep the 10, change the minus, change the negative. This is really just 10 plus 4, which is 14. Okay. 2 minus negative 3. What do we do here?
The same thing.
The same thing. Keep the 2, change the minus to plus, change the negative to positive. 2 plus 3 is 5. You'll start to be able to recognize this in your head. It'll go so fast. 5 minus negative 2. What's that mean? What's the addition problem it really is?
Oh,
It's just 5 plus 2, which is 7. 6 minus negative 5. What do I change that to?
6 plus
6 plus 5, which is 11. Good. Good, good, good. All right. So, hopefully, that helps it click a little better. Just seeing it over and over a few times, sometimes that's the best thing to do. Okay. Okay. Does everybody feel a little bit better about that one?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good, good, good. So, the next problem that was circled on a few of your papers was number 8. So let's look at number 8, problems that are similar to that. Write out a new problem that's similar. And I bet what was difficult about this one is combining two negative numbers. Because we had a negative 10a minus 3a. I think that threw a few of us off. So how about 5 negative similar to that one. And just like the directions say, and like the little note I told you to write on the side, we're only adding or subtracting. We're not doing any multiplication. We're combining like terms. So, what's a good way to start this? The x's, that's a great place to start. So, let's see, I have negative 12x. And I have negative 5x. Okay, so I want to put these together. So I can think of this as in two different ways. I can either think of this as negative 12x minus 5x, or if you want, remember how I told you in the past a plus sign is just like and. It's just like saying I have negative 12x and negative 5x. You could put a plus sign in there if it helps. So I could say I have negative 12x and negative 5x. And maybe that plus sign would help us remember, oh, I'm really just going to add the numbers, but it's going to be negative. This is also the same if we did the keep change with subtraction. Negative 12x, keep that the same. Change the minus to a plus. Change positive 5x to negative. Negative 12x plus negative 5x. We see that? So whenever we subtract from a negative, like we're doing here, our number is going to become a bigger negative. So what is negative 12x plus negative 5x? Yes. Now what sign does that have? Minus 17x, negative 17x. Good. Now what should we do from there?
Plus.
5 plus 2 is 7. And that's it. Is your answer negative 17x plus 7? Give you more of those. Let me come up with another. Do we have any questions or confusions about the one we just did? Yeah, I've got another one written down. If not, if something pops up and you decide you do have a question, you can interrupt me. Now I've given you another one. Negative 9x plus 3 plus 12 minus 3x. Try this one on your own. You need a minute to look at it, get started on it, see if you can come up with something. And then we'll kind of review that together. But I'll write one more just in case, so you're not just like sitting there waiting. Let's see. Another one just in case you finish the one above. Let's look at that first one. Negative 9x plus 3 plus 12 minus 3x. What comes first here? What are we doing?
Negative 1x and 3x, negative 1.
Okay, so I have negative 9x. And then, what is this?
Negative 3x.
Negative 3x. Or minus 3x.
Yes.
Okay, so what am I doing with these? Adding them together. Negative 9x plus negative 3x.
-6.
Not -6. Remember, if I add
Okay,
negatives,
negative.
I'm going to get an even
Minus 12.
bigger negative.
12 minus 12.
9, 10, 11, 12. Yes, we'll get negative 12x. Okay. Then what?
Your 3 plus 12.
My 3 plus 12. And 3 plus 12 is
15.
15. So my answer, put these together, negative 12x plus 15. And that is it. You guys get that okay? All right. Ready for that last one here? Okay. Negative 3m plus 2 plus 10 minus 7m. What should I do first? What should I
Negative
do?
3.
Negative 3m. Okay.
And then 7
And
and
negative 7m. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to put those together. And I'm going to try that stacking method. I don't know why I haven't been doing it with these two. I feel like that helps us stay organized. So I have negative 3m and a new negative 7m. We're kind of putting those together. And what else do I put together? 2 plus 10. Which 2 plus 10 is what? 12. Okay. Now, when I add negative 3 plus negative 7, what do I get?
I got a negative 10.
You should get a negative 10. That's perfect. Negative 10m less 12. That's your answer. Okay. We get that okay? Do we want to run through any more similar to number 8, or do we feel good?
Feel good about it.
Okay. Anybody not feel good? Or we all feel great. Let me know if you change your mind. We're gonna go ahead and look at the back page. Now we just have circled number 10 and number 12. So I'm gonna continue my notes, start a new page. Page 3. The day 4 notes continued still. I'm just gonna write that same title for my last page again. This is more so to keep myself organized. Your notes don't always have to be identical to mine, but I'm gonna always try to keep it pretty consistent. So we all kind of know what's happening. So this is unit 1, practice quiz, extra problems. So we're looking at problems that are similar to number 10. We have a negative number, negative 12, and we're distributing to another negative number. Okay. We may just need to review our multiplication rules. I think that would be really good for this section as well. So let me just come up with something here. How about negative 15? And in parentheses, we'll do negative 3 plus. uh, So remember, anytime we have a number outside of another number in parentheses, or even outside multiple numbers in parentheses, we are multiplying. This is distribution. So whenever we are using distribution, we are multiplying two things instead of one. First, we have negative 15 times negative 3. And it's never a bad idea to write it out and do it slowly. So I'm going to do that here. Negative 15 times negative 3. That's the first part. Bring my plus sign down. And I think I'm going to use a slightly different color the next step, just to separate what's happening. So I've done negative 15 times negative 3. What else do I multiply negative 15 by?
The 2x.
The 2x. Good. Negative 15 times 2x. Okay. And we've got it all written out now. So, before we solve this, let's remember our multiplication rules with different signs. I'm going to write on a little sticky note to the side here. And you have written this on I had you write it on a sticky note, I think. Or maybe it was on a piece of paper. I think I had you do this last class, but I'm going to do it again. So, this goes for multiplication or division. Remember, if I take a positive number times a negative number, what kind of answer will I get? A negative number.
Oh, I think yeah, but it was the inverse. Is it the inverse?
Ooh, super similar to inverse because it's kind of like we're looking at the opposites. But the inverse operations, I actually jumped ahead on accident. That's going to be in unit 2. So we don't even need to know that yet. You're just going to be super ahead of the game when we get there. This is our negative multiplication rules. So right here, I have a positive times a negative. I get a negative. What if I have a negative times a positive? You're also going to get a negative answer. Good. Negative answer again. So when we multiply and we have different signs, doesn't matter which one comes first, different signs give us a negative answer. Different signs equals negative. Now, I think we all know that if you multiply a positive number times a positive number, you'll get a positive number. Do we all know that?
Mm.
Yes. So, the only other option there would be is a negative number times a negative number. Now, different signs, a positive and a negative, give us a negative answer. Now, I have two negatives. These have the same sign. They're both negative. So they cancel, they turn positive. Believe it or not, a negative times a negative is a positive. Those negatives cancel each other out and they turn into a positive. So, same signs gives us positive answers. This is a great thing to keep handy. And I used to have like a chart up on the board with something like this. And I think that helped everybody a lot. And I probably need to just put it back up. It might have gotten thrown away. So maybe I'll just make another one. Everybody a minute to get that written down. So keeping these multiplication rules in mind, now let's look at our problem. I have negative 15 times negative 3. Will our answer be negative or positive? Positive. They are both negative. They have the same signs. Same signs are positive, even if they start negative. So we need a positive answer here. And you can use your calculator if you need to, but you might know it. What is negative 15 times negative 3? 45. Good. Perfect. Now, negative 15 times positive 2x. Will our answer be negative or positive? Negative. The signs are different. So we're going to have a negative answer. I'm going to go ahead and write that minus. And all we need is 15 times 2, which is 30. And don't forget the x. Yes. So our answer is 45 minus 30x. And that's it. Okay. Let me do one similar to that. So, negative 13. Another one. What's happening here? What do I need to do?
Times beginning of 13.
Yeah. We need to multiply negative 13 times everything in the parentheses. So we're distributing. So let's see. I have negative 13 times what first? Negative 2. Negative 13 times negative 2. You could also write it this way instead of putting them both in parentheses with a dot in the middle. This is a little bit easier to write it like this, I think, but everybody's got an opinion. Okay, so negative 13 times negative 2, and then what?
Plus 3.
Negative 13 times, that's plus 3x. So times 3x. Okay. Ready next. That's my answer, positive or negative? Positive. What is it? 26. Perfect. And then what next? That gives us negative 39x. Perfect. That's it. Okay. Questions, concerns, confusions, anything. Anybody, anything. Everybody feels good about it? Okay. Okay. Well, we have one more, and that's number 12 on this practice quiz. We're gonna do something similar to that, and you guys, it kind of looks like we're gonna get out of here early today, because this was all I wanted to do with y'all. So we are actually very ahead of schedule, because you guys are just understanding stuff so quickly. That or we're too shy to tell me we don't get it. So please tell me when you don't understand things. It'll show in your test scores. You know, I would so much rather you guys tell me during class that you're confused than me find out later when you don't do well on something. But I also understand it can be scary to say you don't get something in front of people you don't know. So when class ends today, because it will end pretty early, we'll have, a little bit of time. If you are confused about anything, stay after, even if you need to go out and leave and pretend you're leaving with everybody else and then sneak back in later. I'm gonna be in here, okay? I wanna help you guys any way that I can. All right, so number 12. This one I think is tricky because our problem is written a certain way. 3p plus 3 times 3 plus 2p, all of that multiplied. Our first instinct is to go from left to right, but we don't in this scenario because of the order of operations. So I think what I'll see really often is people ignoring the parentheses and maybe doing 3 times 3 is 9 and then just adding 3p plus 2p. I see that happening. And there's so many other different things that could happen too. So let's work through some similar to that. Let's try 2x plus 5. Okay, so this is the problem. 2x plus 5 times the quantity 4 plus 2x. What I'm gonna say over and over and over is anytime we are doing something like this on numbers 9 through 12 on this quiz, where it says use distribution in combined like terms, distribution comes first. Distribution comes first. Don't start adding anything until you've multiplied. Get that over with, get it out of the way. Always distribute first. I'm gonna write that down. Distribute. It's just like the order of operations. This is something in parentheses, so we got to get rid of the parentheses first. And to do that, we distribute. So, what do I do first?
5 times 4.
Yes. 5 times 4, 5 times 2x.
Yeah.
That's our distribution. Okay, so we can write out each step, or we can kind of do them in our head. I'll write them out still. Be on the safe side. So we've got 5 times 4, and we have 5 times 2x. Okay. And if it helps, cross things out as you go, so you know you're done with them. And then you'll see, oh, I still have 2x left, not crossed out. Make it easier to remember to bring stuff down. So I have this written out. Now what? Yeah, we can bring our 2x down. Let's do that. All right, 2x plus 5 times 4 plus 5 times 2x. Okay, so I'm gonna cross all that off. I got a whole new problem. Now what?
5 times 4.
5 times 4, which is good. 20. I'm gonna cross it out. I'm done with it.
Yeah, 5 times 2.
5 times 2x, yes, is 10x. Beautiful. So I'll bring that down. That's 10x.
Yep, we bring it to the.
And bring down the 2x. Plus. Okay, I'm done with that. Okay. I'm done with distribution. Officially. Finally did everything. Now what?
I'm gonna add 10
Mm-hmm.
plus
Yeah.
12x.
10x and 2x. These are like terms. Combine your like terms, and that gives us 12x. I'm done with those. And what else?
20.
Plus 20. Bring that down. And we're done. That's it. Too bad. It is a lot of steps involved. And if you're struggling with this, again, don't be upset, don't be scared, because this is difficult. It is not super easy. So it's okay if you're struggling a little bit, and you know, you might make a few mistakes, but something else to remember is quizzes in here. Like once we do take a quiz, just like homework, you will have all the way until the due date, which is Friday, to make corrections to your quiz too. So if, like, I will say this, I've had students in the past that will get a C the first time they take the quiz. You know, I'll grade it, give it back to them. They will end up getting over 100% because they will correct all their mistakes. You can absolutely get an A plus in this class if you just correct any mistakes, if you're turning things in on time, if you are, asking questions in class, anything that you can do to improve that score, I'm going to allow it, okay? Because if you show me you get it, even if it takes you a little longer, you get it, and I'm going to grade you for that, okay? So, keep that in mind. Don't let it freak you out. You've got a little bit of a cushion there since you can make corrections and use your notes and everything. So, let's do one more like this, and then I'm going to let you go. Unless, of course, we have more questions. Just one more. Let's do 4, 6, 3 plus. That's one. This, let you guys try it out on your own, and I'm gonna create the exit ticket for today.
What was it fast?
It'll be a short one as usual, so let me pause this. Okay, so what should we do to begin? How do we start? Yes. 6 times 3 and 6 times 5m. So what is 6 times 3? 18. Done with that. What is 6 times 5? 30m, right? Okay. Done with that. Okay, now what? Bring down the 4m. Plus sign. Done with that.
Yep.
Okay, now what?
4m plus 30.
Good. Combine your like terms. 4m plus 30m, 34m
Plus 15.
Plus 18.
plus 18. And that's your answer. Okay. How'd you do?
Good.
Good? Good. Okay, guys, that's going to be it for instruction today. So again, if you have any trouble with this and you're feeling a little nervous, feel free to stay after for a little bit or ask me questions while you're working on the exit ticket, which you all have. But I'm going to put this right here as well. This is the exit ticket due on Friday. Just 2 questions. The first one, you're plugging variables in. X squared plus 3y minus 4. And I gave you numbers to put in there. And then number 2 is very similar to the last 2 problems we did together in class. 5n plus 2 times 3n minus 1. So I'm going to go ahead and end our video there. And you guys are welcome to start working on this. When you're done, you are free to go.